Naomi successfully cashed in Money in the Bank and is your WWE Women's World Champion. Who saw that coming at Evolution, ladies and gentlemen? Io Sky and Rhea Ripley arguably having an absolute banger of a match. And yeah, Naomi cashed in successfully. She's your new Women's World Champion. Of course, after losing earlier in the evening to Jade Cargill in a no-holds-barred match. As well as that on the show, Blank Monroe debuted in NXT on Great American Bash, and an in-ring debut and a win. Turned on a tag team partner, Evolution, Jordynne Grace. Unfortunately, not walking away as NXT Women's Champion. As well as that, there's plenty of things to discuss as well, going through Saturday night's main event. Of course, Seth freaking Rollins, the horror injury, which is looking to keep him on the shelf for months. What does that mean going forward for his Money in the Bank of his own? And perhaps his mega group as well, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. What will the Oracle do in the meantime as well? Goldberg had his retirement match, and of course, that meant he lost to Gunther. And our question is going to be, well, not who's next, but, well, technically, who's next for Gunther, not for Goldberg. We're not interested in Goldberg now. Now that he's no longer going to be having matches. And, of course, Great American Bash as well took place this past weekend as well. Yeah, I thought it was a solid show overall. And just to start it off nice and early, Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page, probably my match of the night. NXT, good to have you in the hot seat as always. Plenty to dive into. A couple of comments coming nice and early as well. PS says, what a night, man. What a night for women's wrestling. Nice little claps as well for women's wrestling. Clap, 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 clap. We got C Nation in the house. C Nation Doug, hope you're doing well. He said, it's been a bit, it certainly has. We are so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us. And of course, Pierre loved the women's wrestling chart by the crowd. It was awesome to see. We loved it on Evolution and as well. Yeah, it's great to see it was in AEW All In as well. We're going to keep things strictly WWE tonight, mainly because not seeing All In. It's too much wrestling. But CD says, has heard that Seth Rollins only be out for 4 months. I've seen that report as well, although I haven't seen it from what I would call a credible source. I just saw it from a random Twitter account, so I'm taking it with a pinch of salt for now. But NXT, Steve, we'll start with Evolution because I think that's the biggest talking point of everything. Naomi cashing in to win the Women's World Championship. You put your hand up when you said you saw that coming. I saw a cash-in at Evolution, but when Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus was out of the building, I didn't see it coming in the main event.
I was, funnily enough, replying to Kyle from the OTM podcast because he was like, unfortunately, I can only see this going one way. And I just replied to him, cash in, ... And he went, yeah, I don't think so. I was like, yeah, no worries. And then he replied and went, oh my God, they actually did it. And I went, I was just joking. Like, I didn't actually expect them to do it. I was shocked. But do you know what? A banger of an opening match and a fantastic main event. Like, again, I think Carl from OTM put it on there as well that he added the Rhea Ripley Io Sky match to Match of the Year contender and Evolution to pay-per-view of the year contender. And I will 100% agree with that. I think that Evolution was a fantastic show. I enjoyed it across the board. For me, it is up there with, I want to say Backlash is my other pay-per-view that I've put down for pay-per-view of the year, because I think across the board, just honestly, a quality show in general. I had no problems with this. I don't think... This is the funny thing with this show. There was nothing, like, there were no real major high spots, but it was just good women's wrestling the whole way through.
I just thought the pacing of the show was really well put together. Like you say, you had the perfect bookings as well, great opener, great main event, and everything that works in the middle as well just flowed very, very nicely. I think the match order as well was very important when you look with Evolution as well. Everything was strategically done very, very well. For example, like we said, the opener is probably the best story going into, so everyone gets invested who's going to walk away the women's IC champion. Becky finding a way there with that very clever roll-up that she did the backside to Bailey as well. I was surprised Bailey took the pinfall of the two ladies involved in the match, but be interested to see the fallout of what that will mean for SummerSlam going forward for Becky Lynch, what it will mean for Lyra and for Bailey.
We need to talk about that finish alone, because that whole segment and the way that Becky counters Bailey into that pinfall, beautiful, majestic, magic, just everything about that was great. That's one of the best finishes I've seen to a match in ages. And like, you know, we've seen like botchy roll-ups and stuff like that. That was perfect. And I can't see more than enough praise for that finish in that match. It was outstanding.
Yeah, it was top class, let's be fair. And I mean, before that, every female had hit her finishing move, had it all broken up as well with pinfall. So you never knew what was going to be necessarily coming when it came towards that finish. But I think majestic was the word used. I think it's a perfect way to fit there, that finish there with Becky and Bayley, especially at the point as well when Bayley had hit the rose. What's the finishing move that she goes? It's the rose drop, isn't it?
Rose plant.
There we are, Rose Plant. Thank you. To get that finish there for Lyra. But very well done indeed. They followed up with the NXT Women's Championship match afterwards, which I thought was a nice placement for that on the show as well, because NXT gets exposure. Gotta say, I think it's the best match I've seen JC Jane ever have.
Oh yeah, agreed. Definitely up there. I'm more than happy for Ed to see JC Jane carry on as JC Jane being NXT Women's Champion. But just in general, it was like the fact that we had so many multi-person matches. Like you had the triple threat opener, you had the 4-team tag match, and then you have the battle royale. It was kind of like I thought the singles matches are going to suffer through this, but I think these were all constructed well. I'm glad that the Jade Naomi match had a stipulation on it, because I feel if that hadn't have had a stipulation, I think that would have maybe been a worse off match. But I think, like I said, it added something different to the entire plethora of the show. But going back to that JCJ match, yeah, definitely, I agree. One of her best matches I've personally ever seen her have. She looked like a credible NXT champion, and I think that's what she's got to try and do now, is try and sway people's opinions. The only problem is I think that she faces Masha Slamovich next week at Slammiversary. Whether she carries on being NXT champion is a whole nother thing. I hope for Ed she does, but we'll soon see.
Ed's, I think, drinking as he's hearing this conversation right now. But we saw the flask, ladies and gentlemen. We just don't know the contents in that flask. But Ed, if you're watching, hope you're well, my friend. But I thought it was a really good match. I thought it was very well put together. Obviously, Blake Monroe doing the heel turn there. There are a little bit of sloppy moments from commentary in this match. I think that's the slight down part, if there was ever going to be.
Hey.
Wade Barrett.
You talk about sloppy parts. You want to talk about Michael Cole calling Candice LeRae. What was he calling her? Candice Michelle the whole match. I'm like, seriously, dude. How long has Candice Michelle not been wrestling for, and you still call Candice LeRae that? I was like, that's embarrassing.
I mean, they said that she got really mad last time they did that, and they said, like, Michael Cole was like, wait, can you back me up when I get backstage? I'm going to need all the help I can get. Like, it's you could see that. But Wade Barrett was calling Fatal Influence, Fatal Attraction 2 times.
Yeah, shocking.
And Fallon Henley just turned, apparently, just screamed at Wade for getting it wrong. Which, to be fair, they work a lot. They're doing their homework, but I mean, obviously at moments like that, it's not great when it gets into the head. But it was the first time
they have a pen and paper
he mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long time since I've heard the name Toxic Attraction mentioned in general as well. But the fact that obviously they've probably got a notepad and paper and pen in front of them, write it down in big bold letters on the paper in front of you, just so that if you ever need to doubt yourself, or you have that momentary slip, you can just look down and go, Fatal Influence, Candice LeRae.
I think for LeRae, it's definitely needed for her next performance for sure. But the one thing
we have the Bayley Hill heat with Michael Cole. It's going to be Candice LeRae now.
I think so. Obviously, JC Jane picked up the victory, but it wasn't without controversy. Blake Monroe was taking out Fallon Henley at ringside, taking out Jasmine Nix as well, making sure that she had hold of the championship. And of course, as Jordynne Grace was running towards the ropes, she was hitting the back with the NXT championship. It was a heel turn. You could see it was a heel turn by the expression and the facials and the body language, but yet commentary didn't sell that for the first little bit. It took a while for them to register what was actually going on, it felt. But all in all, though, I thought it was a very well executed moment. The only thing I would say, though, is, and tell me if you felt the same, Enix Steve, I kind of felt like it was slightly predictable once you saw the backstage segment, because Jordynne Grace said before the match, Blake, I want you at ringside with me. I've been losing a lot of NXT Women's Championship matches. I'm not sure how many more opportunities I'm going to get. Can you just think that there was alarm bells ringing and Blake going, well, let's get you out of the way. I'll straight be in the picture myself.
100%. And the fact that Blake changes outfit, because I think when they did the backstage segment, she's in this lovely, beautiful white dress, and then she comes out and she's in like a completely different top and shorts. And I'm kind of like, oh, well, here we go, the foreshadowing of the heel turn. The thing I'm more worried about is how they book Jordynne Grace and Blake Monroe going forward, because Jordynne Grace, I don't know, from what I got with the segments afterwards, like the backstage looking for Blake Monroe, it almost seemed a bit hillish. And I don't know if they'll try and flip it and have Jordynne Grace as the heel and Blake Monroe as the babyface. Won't work because of obviously how Blake Monroe's handled the situation. But I think the dynamic will be interesting. And look, I mean, most of us predicted this on the predictions that Jordynne Grace wasn't going to win this. Blake Monroe was inevitably going to cost her somehow. Those two are now going to have a program, which I think is great. It's just a great rivalry for Blake Monroe to have coming straight in. And again, with the Slamversary match next week, you kind of really don't want to hot potato that title a week before. So imagine if Grace won it and then lost next week to Slamovich, it really kind of, like I said, you just don't want to hot potato that women's championship at the minute, especially with it being this pay-per-view as well.
Yeah, I would agree in a way. I mean, for the longest time, I was saying to myself, Grace is winning. And then just when I heard like Slammiversary's following this, oh yeah, it's champion versus champion, and you start putting two and two together. Yeah, it was starting to make five with Grace as the winner. So yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't to be the case. But the women's tag team championship match followed this. Roxanne and Raquel did retain it. There was a moment in the match in particular that I absolutely loved. I want to quickly mention
well
it.
Done.
I'll get to you after.
I was just going to say, well done for WWE to finally booking Charlotte Flair in a position where she's cheered.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they even made mention in commentary, like, oh my God, like how she was 2 months ago to how she is now. They love her now.
Yeah.
This is how they should be booking her for starters. Yes. I think that I'm happy for Charlotte, because regardless of whether you like, love, hates, everyone has their side, and it's usually Marmite with Charlotte Flair. But isn't it nice when you see someone is getting a positive reaction, because the reactions that she was getting was quite toxic a couple of months ago, and you could see it was affecting.
I will argue she got one of the biggest pops last night. Yeah, up there with like Naomi cashing in, Rhea Ripley. She got one of the biggest pops, and it's refreshing because look, we've known Charlotte Flair for the longest time, and it's always Charlotte Flair is in the main event scene. She doesn't really do anything else. And now that they've put in something like a tag team dynamic, especially with Alexa Bliss, who's a massive fan favorite, it's going to get her over again. It's going to be massive. And then at some point down the line, when these two are not ultimately break up, if you can have Bliss be the heel and Charlotte carries on that babyface run, be fantastic. But it's just refreshing to not see Charlotte in that place where it's like, oh, well, Charlotte's going to win the championship. Do you know what I mean? It's just what Charlotte Flair does. And yeah, I know what you mean. She has got a lot of hate online recently, and just in general since she came back. Really, her whole run, especially going up to Mania and stuff like that. So it's refreshing to finally see her getting the hot tags as well. The hot tag, the pop she got for that was just fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good to see. And to be honest, one of my favorite moments of the match actually is the conclusion of it, because there's that moment where Zarya is running to do the spear onto Alexa Bliss, and Charlotte saves Alexa Bliss, and in turn gets the spear on Sol Ruka. It's just the thing is the perfect symmetry of two arguably friendships, one that's meant to be stronger but could be starting to go towards the breakup, where the other one is now actually starting to form after a rocky start. And I think just doing that was just so perfect, because we've all speculated the idea of Zarya turning heel on Sol Ruka. You now can sort of see that writing on the wall, because Zarya technically cost Sol in the match. I think Mike was in our comments on the last stream suggesting about a Sol Ruka heel turn, which I think would be quite interesting to see that dynamic character. However, I just think she's so over, and she's just shown out so well over this weekend, and shown she's main roster ready, Sol Ruka, in my personal opinion. And her finishing move is so over with everybody. But I just feel like now we can start having where maybe a couple of moments of, let's say, mistakes are made on NXT in a couple of tag team matches, and that can lead perhaps maybe Sol loses a couple of matches and Zarya gets frustrated, and that's the moment where she can see weakness in her partner and see that she can become the next women's North American champion. I think that's a good way they can go with that. And I think with Alexa and Charlotte, it was right for them not to win the titles here, mainly because it strengthens the Judgment Day argument. Obviously, when you look at Roxanne and Raquel, they're going to get more buddy now, which is going to say, well, how is Liv Morgan feeling about this? wait till Roxanne and Dom feel a bit more buddy as well. Liv Morgan will come back probably like Rhea Ripley did and be outside of the Judgment Day, feuding with the Judgment Day. And I think that's a really good dynamic to do because it almost be full circle for Liv Morgan. And it'd be great because Judgment Day holds all the gold and it protects their narrative. But for Charlotte and for Alexa, by not winning the gold here, fans will want to see them win the gold more. And I think with that idea as well, potentially SummerSlam could be that right destination. And what a great platform. A 2-night SummerSlam, a good place to showcase women's tag team championships.
Yeah, I think the problem they're going to have is obviously if Liv comes back and then is able to take over for Roxanne, then it should be Liv that gets pinned and loses those tag team titles. But if she's not back, Raquel should be the one that takes the pin and almost force Roxanne to be that shoulder to cry on for Raquel. And do you know what I mean? Like reaffirm the friendship that those two are building slowly, so that when Liv does come back, do you know what I mean? It all falls all falls apart, and we get this great Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez rivalry, or even a Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez story. But yeah, I can see it happening. The only thing I'm going to knock on is probably the finish. I think the finish just fell slightly flat just because it kind of came out of nowhere. You have Raquel powerbomb Bliss over the top, and all of a sudden one Tahana bomb to Sol after obviously she's taken the spear from Zarya, and the match is over. It just finished a bit flat, but otherwise, again, a thoroughly entertaining match, I thought.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought it was a thoroughly entertaining match. I like the way the commentary played the idea that Sol's done 3 matches in 48 hours. It's just a case of one too many. And like I said, the spear from Zarya was enough to put her away. And obviously with the power bomb that's done from Raquel as well, just to solidify that to get the 1, 2, 3. Let's take a couple of comments and then we'll go back to the review of Evolution. And for Pierre, that was a 5-star match between Io and Rhea. It was a fantastic match. We'll be giving high praise in a couple of moments. I can promise you that. And he says, if it doesn't give that one 5 stars, I'll shave my head bald. Well, Pierre, we need a picture of before and after if Dave doesn't give that 5 stars. We'll have to wait and see what will happen further down the line. But let's talk about quickly Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton. I thought it was a really good match. To be fair, it was better than I expected. I think that Trisha still got it. I think it's quite evident with that. And she did sort of go for her best friend's finisher move, the moonsault from Lita. It wasn't successful. Tiffany got the knees up and, of course, applied her version of the moonsault, the best moonsault ever, to get the 1, 2, 3. Felt like the right result. Just solidifies Tiffany's reign even more as women's champion at this point, with putting names away like Trish, as we've mentioned there, Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Nia Jax. It's looking like quite a strong title reign now as she goes towards SummerSlam, and she will take on Jade Cargill. And I love the fact as well that it was the perfect placement where they gave the ring to Trish Stratus, where everyone could just give that standing ovation. Just felt like one of those sort of, special moments you're going to look back at Evolution and say, yeah, that was a cool moment.
Yeah, I mean, I in terms of Trish, I would say, for instance, Tiffany's running at 100%. I'd say in terms of pace, I think Trish is only slightly behind, but look, I'll allow that for her age and, do you know what I mean, skill set. Like I've said previously in predictions, that the levels to this game are just so much different now. And Trish was still able to hold her own. And like the fact that they give Trish that time after the match to get a thank you from the crowd, like I think the crowd were fantastic the whole way through. Like they really let this show up and delivered just like a superb performance from those guys. But yeah, I thought this match was, it was a good match, and I had no complaints about it. Like I said, I think Trish is only lacking a slight bit of pace in terms of in ring, but otherwise was able to put on a really good show. But you can see the difference now when I'm talking about levels to this game, that Tiffany Stratton she is that 21st century wrestler, and she's just like, she is the next step. She's almost like the next big thing in women's wrestling. Like, she is so good. And like I said, it's not to critique Trish, it's just the bar has been raised significantly in women's wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you just see the talent pool that's there and the talent pool that's coming up as well. And obviously, we've got a lot of NXT exposure on there. We mentioned Sol Ruka already. We'll be talking about likes of Lash Legend shortly as well. Jada Parker as well, got a big reaction on this show also. So, I mean, there is a talent pool there that are waiting in the wings. As Stephanie McMahon said with Joe Tessitore, like, people got to look over their shoulders here. There's a lot of talent that are waiting in the wings for their opportunity in their moment.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, we'll get on to Lash in a minute, but Just in general, the weekend, just like some people, for me, I liked Soul, but I think this weekend has just made me like Soul a little bit more. Like I said, I think the quality that she's put on over this weekend has just kind of sat me and gone, you know what? Someone I actually really do enjoy watching now, and kind of can't wait to see her have another match. And I think there was people talking about the fact that they want to see a Charlotte Flair Soul Ruka match, especially after that Soul Snatcher. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. And then, yeah, just like you said, the talent that you mentioned a couple of names. Jada Parker, I think, is going to be a massive player when she comes up to the main roster, and even the ones that are in Evolve and LFG, there is some proper talent there. And like, this company is set for women's wrestlers going forward. Like, there's no reason for them to go out and get. Do you know what I mean? There's no reason for them to go out and sign independent wrestlers really anymore when the plethora they have is easily your next 10, 15 years worth of women's wrestling.
Yeah, they've got it covered. It's amazing to see, really. And well, a little wild prediction for you right now. If there's a WWE draft after SummerSlam, I'm predicting Sol Ruka is one that's going to get the call up.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's just a case of obviously losing that North American title, and I think that has to be done in one of those ways where you have to protect Sol in the loss, so that when she comes up to the main roster, it doesn't really affect her.
Either that or do the turn just to do the loss before or just after SummerSlam. I believe NXT Heatwave is their next PLE. Lose it to Zarya there.
Yes, end of August, I think.
Same day. They're doing it the same day as Forbidden Door, funnily enough. So it's another one of those crashing with AEW shows, unfortunately. Shout out to Pierre, by the way, of this comment here. Says that he really enjoys the Fatal Influence music, The Chosen.
To be fair, I think Forbidden Door is on a completely earlier time because it's over here, isn't it? Forbidden Door. I think it's in the UK. It's at the O2 Arena. There might be mind you, it's AEW. It's going to be about 6 hours long anyway.
Possibly. But there is something that WWE has read a report, and apparently WWE wants to have the final say. It's not necessarily clashing with AEW. It's having a show after AEW so that everyone is talking about WWE and what's happened on their show rather than AEW show. It's a strategy.
Tomato.
Yeah, maybe it works. CD says that he's got that Seth Rollins' injury is a work, so Seth then can go into injury. I don't think it is either, but I would love it if he was right. But said the match against LA Knights needed to be written off with a fake injury, and the match that has to be now it isn't too serious. I think it's legit, but yeah.
The only reason why I would say it is legit because it ate into Goldberg's speech at the end of the show, and I think like they wouldn't have planned to cut into Goldberg's like speech and end the show while he's like halfway through his goodbye speech, which is the reason why as well. But on the plus side, Seth Rollins is at, maybe there's a guy, his name's Karrion Kross that you can start pushing to the main event scene.
Wouldn't be against it. I think though. Well, what happens with Money in the Bank? We should be talking about Evolution, but let's come back to it because I have a whole Seth topic. We'll come back to it when it's time. We'll get there. But Bleach fan, good for joining us. Hope you're well. Says Jordynne Grace was a sheep. Blake Monroe is moving her chess pieces along the board. You can see it indeed. British people are taking over professional wrestling. You love to see it, unless you're probably not British. PS says that love the fact that the crowd pop for Charlotte Flair. Absolutely. CD says that Blake Monroe does her best work as a heel. Have to agree with that as well. Noob is in the house. Hope you're doing well, Noob. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're keeping well. Says Alexa Bliss and Flair as a tag team was pretty good. Pretty much showing more human side of Charlotte Flair. And I think that's something we need to see. I kind of felt like as well Charlotte was selling for a lot of people in the match as well. Sol Ruka was one of them. It actually just makes her more likable. And yeah, I think that's a good way for her moving forward. PS says that I must say now that Triple H booked Charlotte better than Vince ever did with the tag team of Alexa Bliss. I wouldn't go that far. It's still very early days into the Bliss there, and Charlotte Flair has had some good runs on the main roster as well. I mean, we've only got Triple H just had her for what, like a year probably on and off with Charlotte's injuries, and Vince had her for about 7 or 8. So
Charlotte is unfortunately kind of, I would say, coming towards the end of her in-ring career. Like
Yeah.
she's been doing this a long time now, and like I presume she wants stuff that she want. Like there might be other stuff she wants to. I don't know if she ever plans on having a family, having kids or whatever. But that's stuff that takes you out of wrestling for 18 months, 2 years. So, and the fact that she's a 14-time champion, I think there's probably a couple more world title reigns or runs in her. But yeah, I think that. Like Vince managed to have Charlotte for about 10 years. I think Triple H should be lucky to get half of that.
Would say so indeed, but there's still time to put some good stuff for Charlotte Flair, and certainly on a roll at the second. New asked a good, interesting question here. Also, do you see the Kabuki Warriors as a tag team on the long run, or do you see Asuka and Kairi Sane as singles competitors with the evidence of the video package for Kairi Sane a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw? It's a very interesting point because they were sort of thrown back together. Did you think that this was a one-off evolution, or do you see that perhaps Kabuki Warriors will continue as a team moving forward?
I think for the foreseeable future, you should keep them as a tag team because it's just an opportunity to keep them on TV without story and narrative. Like since Kairi Sane's come back, she hasn't done really anything in terms of creative. She's just been a part of Damage Control, not really had any storylines. Asuka's obviously been out with personal issues, some injuries. I think at least this way, you've got a established tag team in the women's division that you can use. And like I said, I think it just gives them both an opportunity. They don't have to, especially with Asuka, you haven't got to worry about injuries because it's tag team wrestling. You're doing half the work, essentially. So for me personally, keep them as a tag team for the time being.
I'm not against it. I mean, I'm open to both avenues, really, because, like you say, established tag team, there's a tag team division there that's lacking a lot of teams at the moment. I know we've had 4 at this past show here of Evolution, but at the same time, one was from Raw, one was SmackDown, one was NXT, and then you got the champions which were on Raw. So I mean, it's, you know, it was a bit thrown together, but I think that there is some strength of having the Kabuki Warriors together. However, I can't ignore the video package we saw for Kairi Sane a couple of weeks ago, and with a mid-card title, I would not be against seeing Sane go for an IC title, put it that way. But with Becky still holding the strap at the moment, I think that Becky would retain, of course, but time will tell on that one. Let's move on in the meantime. Talk about the no holds barred match. We had Jade Cargill defeat Naomi. This was a lot of toys involved in this one. Jade Cargill went for a table at one point off the ring apron to the outside, and it looked like Naomi was going to finish things off with her finisher in the corner, but it was taking too slow to get to the turnbuckle. Jade hit her with a steel chair, and then actually did her Stormbreaker off the second rope and put to Naomi for a table for a pinfall victory. I thought this match was solid for what it was. I thought this was one of Jade's better matches in WWE as well. So yeah, I think this did everything it needed to do, and it keeps Jade as a strong contender heading towards SummerSlam.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she actually picked Tiffany yet, because I mean, after last night's result, it kind of makes sense that she goes up against Naomi really more than anything. But yeah, I don't get me wrong, with my ratings, this was like tied for the worst match on the card for me, but I still think this was a really good match. And I said I think this match needed this stipulation, because I think if this had just been another singles match, I think this would have probably suffered against the rest of the card. They used what they did really well. Some of the spots weren't great. I mean, Naomi pushing Jade off the side of the apron with a chair through a table is a bit underwhelming, but like you said, it keeps Jade strong. She's picked up the win. Naomi can take the loss because she had the Money in the Bank briefcase at the time. Naomi's outfit looked fantastic, by the way. The whole razor blades caution tape, just looked $1 million. And yeah, like I said, not the best match on the card, but like I enjoyed it, and I think that's the most important thing.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought it was solid for what it was. I was expecting something of a twist with Bianca Belair being in the middle of these two, but nothing played out with that on the show. But maybe something could happen in the fallout on the weeks now leading to SummerSlam.
Yeah, it was almost like they've just put Belair in the rest position to put her on the show. Didn't really play into the story, which I probably would have liked a bit more, and maybe I'd have favoured this a bit more. Because again, this is one of the few matches that has a story on the card, and they don't really do much with it.
No, not so much, really. I guess Jade got Naomi out of the way for now, but like you say, what does it lead to going to SummerSlam? Commentary specified Tiffany versus Jade, but maybe Jade still has a call of which champion she can go for. We'll have to wait and see on WWE TV with Raw and SmackDown this upcoming week. I'm sure we will get our answer. The Women's Battle Royal, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, everyone getting an entrance was probably something that was a bit much. I mean, it's about 15 minutes on entrances. However,
I'll tell you now, if you go and watch it back again, from after the second or third entrance, all of the rest of them are cut out on the playback. I guarantee you now.
They were actually there when I watched it today, but whether they'll be there.
Oh yeah. Like I said, give it a week, and when you go back and watch it, it'll be like the first three who were like what Belair, Chelsea Green, Alba Fire, Piper Niven. I think after Natalia, I don't think they'll cut out back up till the point of like maybe Candice LeRae and Nia Jax, and then Stephanie Vaquer and Julia. Like they'll cut out half of them easily.
I think probably as well. It just trims a little bit, doesn't it? But yeah, I thought the Battle Royal was good. Some stand-up performers in this as well. I thought Chelsea Green, as always, character work is just phenomenal in these sort of matches here, trying to stop, obviously, the Devil's Kiss of Stephanie Vaquer, and of course, eventually eating one herself. How she's trying to get her Hervis as well to do the dirty work for her throughout a number of moves, and then when she starts to lose members, of course, that's usually her downfall as well in the match. I thought that was quite well done. One nitpick, not really a fan that Julia was eliminated by Zelina Vega. That's just a personal nitpick from me. I think Julia should have been eliminated by someone a bit more higher up the card, but that's me nitpicking.
You say that, but I also have the fact that B-Fab and Michin eliminated Jada Parker. That was my kind of qualm as well, because I think Jada Parker is one of the bigger heels on the NXT, and to have her beaten by B-Fab and Michin kind of doesn't help her a lot. But yeah, I know what you mean with Zelina Vega and Julia, but again, I understand it for the pure fact that you just lost the US title to Julia. Zelina Vega did look like she had a face that had been stung by a couple of bees, you know what I mean? So I don't know if it's purely character-wise, and there's a reason why they've done that, which they'll go back to Zelina getting a rematch with Julia. Nikki Bella trying to upstage Chelsea Green, won't lie, piss me off. I was like, how dare you try and upstage the greatest women's United States champion of all time? I was like, how dare you?
Nikki can look, but you can't touch. Yeah. It's there's Kalani Jordan
thing as well out for me. Kalani Jordan, did you say? Oh yeah, she got the Kofi Kingston spot, didn't she? But I was going to say Lash Legend. I think that Lash was part of a tag team for the longest time, part of the Metaphor, whatever they were called, and then to get into a women's battle royal and be last four and be almost like the counterpart for Nia Jax, I think is a great spot for her. I think she had a great showing. But no, I understand when you come from Kalani Jordan, same thing. The only thing I would probably say is that I'm trying to remember who eliminated Kalani Jordan there, because I've got it down here somewhere. No, there you go. Yeah, so yeah, it's like I said, just great show from the NXT superstars in general in it, and Chelsea taking the Devil's Kiss as well. Just in general, a really fun battle royal. It was a bit botchy in places, but what do you expect? There's 20 women trying to get their stick in and trying to get their stuff in. And I'm sure there was a part with Maxine Dupree and Natalia trying to do the backwards worm was just the most awkward thing I've seen in my life. Like, don't do that again. That was horrible. And that's what I mean. That stuff like that. I know you're trying to get your stuff in, but please do something better than that.
Yes, you're not a fan of the backwards swerves. You say this every time we see Maxine
Dupree. They did it, and there's a bit when Natalia does it onto him, and I'm like, that's not how that move is supposed to work. What are you doing? It's horrible.
It's a choice. That's what it is. But I was going to get to Lash Legend, and I think you're right. She was the standout performer of NXT, because you said Final Four, Final Two. She was the runner-up of this thing. I mean, she was part of the elimination of Nia Jax as well. Arguably a bigger portion of getting Nia Jax out of this battle royal as well. It just felt to me, and I wonder if you'll agree with this comparison as well, because I felt what this show was doing with clever moments and getting things to you to remember a thing and perhaps have a reconnection from something previous in wrestling to say, this reminds me of this. And you know what this moment reminded me of, especially when it was one from Raw, one from SmackDown, one from NXT, Survivor Series 2019. It felt very much like that until Nia was eliminated, and it almost felt like, is Lash Legend the modern Keith Lee in Survivor Series? Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's been like the last two, and then of course then you go down then to the established main roster wrestler. But look, I mean, the Devil's Kiss as well was done for the elimination as well to end the match, which I thought was probably a pleasing moment for a lot of fans as well, on the hardest part of the ring. But no, I thought Lash Legend had an awesome performance. Stephanie Vaquer, I thought, was the right choice to win this. Clash in Paris, can't wait to see who she faces. Is it going to be Naomi now? Will Rhea get hold of the title between now and then? Will Io Sky win the title back? Could Jade challenge for it? We'll have to wait and see what's going to go down. But one thing's for sure, it's an exciting question right now when we don't have the answer to it, which is going to be brilliant. But we know Becca is waiting. I also thought her promo and passionate with both Spanish and English. Thought it was fantastic. Thought that was a moment that really stood out for me on Evolution.
Yeah, even like she said that English isn't her first language, technically wrestling is, but I still felt that her promo in English still came across really, really well, was well delivered. Stephanie McMahon busting out the Spanish. Excuse me, well, can we go back a second? Where does that come from? Yeah, just very heartfelt. Just in general, look, I mean, we all predicted that Stephanie McMahon was going to win this. My only issue, just a little nitpick, the only issue is that we knew all 20 contestants before the match even happened. There wasn't an opportunity to have a surprise entrant or something. Do you know what I mean? No Paige, no AJ Lee. Do you know what I mean? There's the little things you want to tease people with. I mean, I suppose the fact that you want Vicker to win this, you don't really want her win to be like in the shadow of a return of an AJ Lee or a Paige. Or I get it, but yeah. Back to Stephanie Vicker, look, right winner. I'm hoping that they delay who she picks because I really want them to build for SummerSlam, and I don't really want to sit there and go, oh well, she's going to challenge Tiffany, and we know that Tiffany's not going to have a match now, or if she is going to have a match between now and Clash, she's pretty much going to win it. So I'm hoping that they hold off on that process of her picking a winner.
Yeah, we'll have to see it will go down. I think because she's on Raw, she automatically gets a women's world title match. But I will have to wait and see if that's going to be the case or not here, because things can change. We could have drafts, anything can happen. So yeah, watch this space with WWE. But of course, it leads us then to the main event, of course, which was Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley and Fan Bloody Tastic. What a match! This was superb from start to finish. A great told story of how, you know, both respect one another, but let's fight, and not did they just fight in the ring. They took out the referee as well. They ended up going through the crowd as well. We got Io Sky diving off some of the equipment in the crowd, which was like 20 feet in the air with a crossbody. Phenomenal. I've got people in the comments saying about Tiffany not being the best in the world. Tiffany's one of those that's on the route to it, but I would argue we've probably seen the best in the world here. Some saying Tony Storm in the comments. I think it's hard to look past Io Sky right now. I mean, she's just doing phenomenal work. Almost everything she does is flawless. Rhea Ripley is certainly one that can be in that conversation as well. I mean, these two put an absolute killer showing before that cash in.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to. I know that the Tony Storm Monet match is supposed to be really good. And I haven't watched all in yet because again, it's 6 hours long, and I don't have 6 hours to watch it at the minute. But look, Io had a banger with Rhea Ripley and Belair at WrestleMania. Then you just have Ripley and Io in this match, and both this and the Mania match are match of the year contenders for me.
Yeah.
If and when we do our end of year awards, it's going to be hard for me to pick between sort of Io Sky and Tony Storm as to who should be the number one, because don't get me wrong, Tony Storm is having the year of her life, the best character work, the greatest reign as AEW Women's Champion. But Io Sky, just honestly, as champion, delivering 5-star matches is just phenomenal. And this match was just so well, I was sitting there watching this, and I was like, I'm trying to think back to like an old, like if I was going to compare this to something, and I was like, look, this is. I say this. I say you have to understand where I'm coming from. This is almost to me like a Steamboat Macho Man kind of match. Like this is such a well constructed match, and the finish and everything pulled off, just great. There was nothing wrong with this match. I found. No flaws. I could probably go back and nitpick again, but like on a first time viewing, this for me was just vastly entertaining. The character work is so good. Even when you get moments like what was it that Ripley does? She hits a razor's edge and then deadlift power bombs Io for a 2. Just fantastic feats of strength. And then you go to do that crossbody off the top of the stage boxes. It's like 15 feet up, which is a great spot. And then Io hitting the moonsault, and the ref recovers, and we think that's it. Io's retained, and Rhea kicks out. Just this had everything, man. This was so good. I can't praise this match enough.
Absolutely. And of course, just when you think yourself, these two ladies have been going for nearly half an hour. Naomi's music hits. She makes a return after she's lost her no holds barred match, and she cashes in. You think yourself, well, surely something's going to stop that cash in from happening. Maybe we're going to get ourselves, maybe Jay come out and stop it. I don't know. But no, she successfully got the bell rung. So you know, right, this is happening now. She's either going to win this or she's going to be the first fouled female to not win on the cash in. But yeah, just hit Rhea with a briefcase. Oh, no, she hit Io with the briefcase, and then she threw Rhea out
with the briefcase.
Yeah, threw Rhea out of the ring,
Yes.
and then did a finish on.
Even though I suppose this is probably the one botch of the match is where Naomi's waiting to hit Io with that briefcase, and the ring announcer is still trying to say that she's cashing in, but the bell's rung, and then the bell's rung again, and I'm like, just ring the bell. I want to hit her with his briefcase. But I think it still worked out in favor in terms of just general character work, because obviously, she hits Io with that briefcase, throws Rhea into the steel post, who then falls outside, does a split moonsault off the corner, picks up the win, picks up the world championship. Just great, man. So entertaining. And the whole broken nose, the blood, just great stuff.
It's just so left field as well, because all of a sudden going into this show, look, we all criticized with Evolution of the lack of build going in, but you can just say, look, the ladies took this show, stole it. It feels like it's a one of those shows you'll easily go back and watch again and again. And the amount of stories coming out of this show, we've got enough across the board for Raw, SmackDown, and NXT to make you say, I want to tune in next week and see where this is going to follow up on. I'm pleasantly.
That's really something we very rarely get with normal PLEs.
Yeah,
and the fact that we get it with this one. And look, it's just the same as any PLE, really. These are all women from different shows. But yet, like you said, everything had a talking point, apart from maybe, like, for instance, Tiffany winning against Trish. Tiffany doesn't really know what's going on next, but like, it's minor, and it's like that was more for the moment than it was for story, but there's still so much to go out of it. And yeah, like I said, every other PLE, there's matches that finish where we're like, well, what's next for this champion? What's next for, like, for example, Saturday night's main event, what's next for Gunther? And then we find out that he's got, like, a gauntlet match is going to decide his contender for SummerSlam. I'm like, well, that's quite kind of underwhelming.
We'll be talking about it in a few minutes' time. But if you're excited about it, drop your predictions in the comments. We're going to try and catch up with the chat a little bit in a couple of moments' time. But just before we do, we're going to wrap up our Evolution talk from us anyway, because this is the more in-depth review. The other two reviews we're going to have are probably going to be more quicker, more of the major talking points, and we're going to take your comments and your questions. So that's how you got an idea of how the rest of the video is going to play out. But just before we do, we like to do this when we do our review of shows. We go through and just give pretty much our quick sum up of the major moments of the evening. So Evolution 2025, OMG moment of the night. It's kind of obvious.
I mean, Naomi's cash-in has got to be the most obvious one, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's the cash-in, definitely, and the fact Naomi won it as well. Match of the night?
Main event. If it wasn't main event, like, for me, I gave the main event 5 stars. I gave the triple threat IC title match a 4-star, but it's definitely the main event.
Yeah, I think there's a fair ratings, by the way, for that. And I would agree with you wholeheartedly on it as well. Entrance of the night, is it Naomi with the briefcase?
Yeah, I mean, there is a shout for Charlotte. I think Charlotte obviously got a good pop when she came out as well, so there is that as well. But yeah, I would definitely still say Naomi cashing in.
Absolutely. Do you know what I'm going to give as a special outside of the box one? Because I really was impressed with the reaction Jada Parker got. I know it's in the middle of the Battle Royal.
I get that.
Everyone was doing the NXT like Jada Parker. I was like, yeah, people are knowing this. It's like, yeah, it's good. It's good to see. MVP of the night.
I did have Lash Legend down because I think, like, if you get to the final turn of Battle Royal, you put yourself over. But I'm going to cop out and I'm going to say all of them. I think all of them put on a fantastic show. Everyone, the crew, the wrestlers, the crowd. I just think in general, everyone that was involved in this put on a fantastic show. Jackie Redmond in the pre-show, the impassioned speech that she gave before, Big E as well. There's just this was just in general a fantastic show. It irritates me that you go and watch the show media scrum and Triple H goes, oh, well, I don't feel there's a right place to have this every year. Like, we should be able to put these kinds of women's matches on every show. You're booking the show, mate. If you can't get decent women's matches on a PLE event, whose fault is that? I think that comes down to you. So, yeah, I think this was just a great way for the women to basically stick up a giant middle finger and say we can do this.
Absolutely. And the fact that they should do it as well, because I think if there's one thing that's been proved from this show, Evolution should not have to wait another 7 years to have another PLE.
Definitely.
I think it should be a yearly thing, which means final rating of Evolution 2025.
9 out of 10. I think there was still some, there was some, like there was a lot of really good stuff, some okay stuff, but I thought overall a really good show.
9.5.
Oh, I love it. I love to hear it.
You know, just under the 10. But I tell you what, there is an argument that this is PLE of the year for WWE so far, even topping Elimination Chamber, which was my other one outside of this.
For me, Backlash was my other top one for the year. I loved Backlash. I thought it was great, and this is up there with Backlash for me. So if we do end the year awards, I'll have to sit there and do a pros and cons list between the two to try and pick a winner for these two shows.
Absolutely, indeed. So that's our talk there for Evolution. Let's change the background. There's Saturday night's main event, which we'll talk about next. But I tell you what, my goodness, we have some comments we should get through because you lot have been kind enough to write them. We should at least talk about some of them.
Sorry, just to add something quickly as well.
Go for it.
In the USA, Women's History Month is the month of March. Evolution should be in that month.
I like it because it's on the road to WrestleMania as well. They can do it as a sub-weekend one on the route to WrestleMania. And if you need to, if you have to do the balance out of it as well, where the men have a show, give them Saturday night's main event the night before.
Yeah, exactly. Even with Evolution, you could put a Women's Elimination Chamber match on that card as well and save you having to do two on the Elimination Chamber card.
That's an idea. Hey, we're booking it for you, Triple H. Why was Lita not at Evolution? She wasn't booked.
Not invited, I presume.
Yeah, probably not invited, but it's a shame if that's the case because it would have been fun.
Vicky Guerrero got a great pop, by the way.
That was a very good pop. Yeah, good to see all the legends there, to be fair. That was nice to see. That's a touching moment throughout the entire evening. Byron is excited for the Gauntlet match, which we said we will be talking about very, very shortly. Roy is tired of seeing Jade Cargill believes that she needs to go to the PC, not a fan of her wrestling. Bleach says, I think Jey Uso should go back to the tag team division. He's proven himself that he can win the Royal Rumble and the World Championship. What else does he need to prove? Good question. Good question. Let's stop. Let's talk about, discuss. Obviously, I think there's an argument that the Usos reunited could be a good thing to do, especially going against Solo's group right now. But surely Jay wants to prove that it's not a 7 or 8 week thing of being a world heavyweight champion. You'd think he'd want to establish himself one more time at the top of the card at least before going back to the tag team scene.
Yeah, I think if he could probably get a second run as a world heavyweight champion, I think it probably would add a bit more credibility to his name as being a world heavyweight champion or a WWE champion, for example. Don't get me wrong, the Usos wrestling is always going to be great. It's always going to be fun. But I feel there's a lot more. Look, they don't know what they're doing with that tag team division at the minute anyway. And I feel if you're just going to throw the Usos in there, it kind of doesn't help any other tag team in that division. Like, you're going to throw them in. You've already got New Day in there. You're going to throw Usos back in there. What does that mean for the likes of Fraxium? What does it mean for the likes of DIY? Do you know what I mean? Because these are the top tag teams, the Usos and the New Day. Do you know what I mean? And these guys are multi-time champions. And I feel like if you put them back as a tag team, it takes a spot away from someone else in that tag team division. If anything, I'd actually like to see Jimmy get a run doing something. Maybe get a US title run if he takes that off of Solo. Who knows? But I think it'd only be fair. Like, I'm not being funny. Matt Hardy was a WWE champion. And Jeff Hardy was a WWE champion. The best Matt got was ECW World Heavyweight Champion. And I think that there should be some sort of thing there where Jimmy should have an opportunity to win a singles title himself. So it's not kind of just Jay.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, he did get an opportunity on Saturday night's main event, but it came on a losing effort to Solo Sikoa. We're not going to necessarily take Saturday night's main event in order here. We're going to go and power through the PowerPoint notes here. But it was good to see Big Jim get sorry?
I said I didn't make any.
Well, I think there's probably three. Well, we're talking about probably the least important thing on the show politely, but obviously Solo's group is looking quite dominant. We've got the return of Jacob Fatu as well, so I'm guessing we could be going towards Jacob Fatu versus Solo one more time at SummerSlam.
Yeah, but I don't understand why they've released merch and yet Tama Tonga's not back yet. They've got like a Queen's style T-shirt with the 4 heads, and I'm like, there's a guy missing here. I'm sorry, is he not part of this group?
There's an excuse then to make another T-shirt when he returns. It's all about that money.
God, yeah, of course. Yeah, it's all about making that merch money, brother.
Absolutely, indeed. But let's talk about one that I really want to talk about. And that was a great question, by the way. So thank you for that one there. But we need to talk about Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll is going to be having a match at SummerSlam. He's going to be teaming with the Viper Randy Orton, and they're going to go against Logan Paul, who does not want celebrities coming in wrestling in WWE anymore. It's taking away the shine from full-time wrestlers. I love it. I love it. It's really well put together. And Drew McIntyre's going to be teaming as well. Look, I think a lot of people are going to hate on this, but do you know what? I'm really not against it. Back in the 90s, I was never usually a fan of seeing celebrities come in and wrestle, but in some of the most popular times in wrestling history, there were celebrities that would wrestle. Dennis Rodman in WCW with Hollywood Hogan used to be a big thing for the NWO. You'd see Lawrence Taylor main event of WrestleMania against Bam Bam Bigelow. Again, not my favorite thing, but it was an NFL start that wrestled at that point, and it happened. And it's historical. You go through other times and perhaps where things dropped up in wrestling history. Not a lot of celebrities were involved. Celebrities are back in now. And Jelly Roll was a very popular music artist in the United States. He's also got a real passion for this as well. I think that's something that's really cool. Not just a celebrity when I'll make some money and I'll come in and I'll do a match or whatever. This guy genuinely loves professional wrestling. He gets it. Yeah. He looked awesome with the chokeslam we did to Austin Theory last year. I'm sure Theory was a big part in that, by the way, on the road to SummerSlam. But I mean, the fact is here, he's going to be involved in a tag team match where you have one of the most experienced heads around him in Randy Orton, and they're going against a celebrity wrestler who is practically a full-time wrestler now in WWE, Logan Paul, who, let's be fair, has great performances every time he wrestles, and Drew McIntyre as well there. Like, you have 4 people in the ring, one of them that doesn't know, could be what he's doing, but he's probably had some training. He's going to be well protected in amongst the rest of them. So I've got a funny feeling this tag team match could actually be a lot of fun.
The 3 of them will carry Jelly Roll to a really good match. And don't get me wrong, if you see, like, obviously you can see the weight loss that guy has gone with. So obviously from Mania, I think it was last year, like, that he made an appearance. He gets it. He loves this. He loves it all. And with how big WWE is nowadays, and we get so much, like you could tell from, like, every time that there's a PLE, there's always someone famous sitting there. Every Raw or SmackDown, there's normally a celebrity sitting in the crowd, whether it be a local sports star or whatever. But this is something Jelly Roll has wanted to do for over a year, and that guy is determined. He's on this whole, like, he's going to the PC. He's doing like proper, like, weight loss regime. He's seeing a food specialist, you know what I mean, to get his weight down. He's getting in ring shape. He's obviously not going to be no Randy Orton ripped guy, but, like, he's determined. And do you know what? I love that alone for the enthusiasm that he wants to go out there and have a good wrestling match. He doesn't want to go out there and be I'm trying to think of someone who's had a bad wrestling match celebrity wise previously, like, I don't know, if insert name here of rough celebrity. I don't know. We couldn't even say Johnny Knoxville because Johnny Knoxville's had a good match. But look, he wants to go out there and have this good match. He wants to. This is SummerSlam, biggest show of the year, 2 nights. He wants to have this match, and I'm all for it, man. Bad Bunny, Logan Paul, all these people that are coming in, they're changing the perspective on celebrities doing wrestling. Celebrities get it now. They realize that if they actually put some graft into it and pull this off, it not only benefits WWE, but it benefits them as well. Bad Bunny, one of the biggest Latino, like South American music artists in the world. Logan Paul, like, don't get me wrong, that guy was hated a lot, and then he started wrestling. Don't get me wrong, people still hate him, but they're kind of like, he's still a really good wrestler though. And Jelly Roll, he's a great singer. I'm not expecting him to put on a 5-star classic, but I'm telling you what, he's going to go out there with as much heart and determination as any wrestler that's wanting to do that for 20, 30 years.
Absolutely. And do you know what? He took quite a good Claymore on Saturday night's main event from Drew McIntyre. He did sell that pretty darn well. Obviously, Randy Orton picked up the victory over Drew McIntyre. You could say Jelly Roll played a part in that, obviously, pushing Logan Paul on the outside as well. So, yeah, this is coming together nicely, especially after SmackDown as well, with the music concert, all that went wrong, and Logan Paul destroying the set as well afterwards. So, for me, I'm liking where this is going. And like you say, I've secretly got high hopes for this.
Yeah, I have, man. I genuinely can't wait for it now because for me, this will be up there with like Priest and Bad Bunny. Do you know what I mean? Anytime we've had a celebrity tag team match, like in recent years, I expect this to be up there. And like I said, you put them in there with Drew, Randy, and Logan Paul, 3 great in-ring wrestlers, 3 great storytellers. I can't wait to see what kind of crazy stuff Jelly Roll will be trying to do. He's going to want to son people. He's going to want to swanton people. And let him do it all, man. Let him do whatever he can physically do, but I want to see it.
Absolutely, I do as well. It'd be a great feel-good moment and viral moment, I think, coming out of SummerSlam as well, which, let's be fair, that does well for absolutely everybody. Sidney with a comment in says that thinking with his heart on the work for Seth Rollins, he's his all-time favorite wrestler. It's a great choice of an all-time favorite wrestler, but unfortunately, we will not be seeing Seth for a few months at least. It seems picking up a nasty injury at Saturday night's main event in the match with LA Knight he was doing. It seemed like a sort of like a moonsault off the second rope in the ring, and looked to land on his feet, but as he landed, he tweaked his knee. He felt it. He went down immediately. He got checked over, and eventually, after seeing the doctor as well, he said he could finish the match. He basically got up and he literally went straight into LA Knight's finish of the BFT for the pinfall victory for LA Knight. It was a bit of a damp way to finish, and it's a shame if Seth is going to be out, because in all truth and honesty, he's a major player right now with WWE and one of their major storylines going on, because he's taken the Oracle Paul Heyman away from Roman Reigns and also have betrayed CM Punk, of course, at WrestleMania. You would imagine SummerSlam had one of those two having a match with Seth Rollins and perhaps the other one having WrestleMania. There is an argument that perhaps Seth is missing all of that now moving forward, but there is reports going around maybe it's not as long as feared. You do wonder as well, he's currently holding Money in the Bank, and also he's building the future of an Evolution-style faction with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. What happens with everyone moving forward is going to be a big question, and hopefully we'll get some answers starting tonight on Raw. One thing we know for certain already is that Braun Breaker seems to be taking the Seth role, as he'll be going in the gauntlet match to try and get a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. But yeah, thoughts have to go out to Seth, I think, first and foremost. We hope that it's a speedy recovery and he can make a return to the ring as soon as possible, because he's been doing excellent work and he wants to be seen as the guy in WWE. And it feels like every time he's had that opportunity where he's had the ball to run with, you look, as champion back in 2015, he got injured, had to drop the championship, vacate it, and obviously was away for like 8 months. He had a big pop when he came back, but he wasn't the guy at that point. It was then Roman. It felt like at this moment, with Roman being away and there being a gap on Monday Night Raw, that he could be the top heel, and you felt like he was going to go into WrestleMania next year as the main eventer for night 2. Let's hope that this doesn't derail all of that momentum, because Seth, you knew he was going to do excellent work between now and that time period of WrestleMania next year.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like we're getting close to that point where Seth Punk at Mania may never happen. And like, I'll kick myself, because like 3 years that I've had the opportunity to do this match, and look, hopefully, yeah, like I said, it's not as bad as what it is. I personally don't think Seth was ever meant to be in this gauntlet match tonight, because he is Money in the Bank holder. So why would he need to be in a gauntlet match for a number 1 contender spot if he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase? But yeah, look, you've got Paul Heyman in there. Paul Heyman is arguably one of the best guys that does mic work. So whether some weeks Seth isn't there and it's just Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman is being Paul Heyman, I don't think there's anything necessarily to worry about. I think that storylines can still carry on. I just think it's a case of anything that would have been Seth's promo is now going to be Paul Heyman's promo on behalf of Seth Rollins. And yeah, hopefully it's a speedy recovery. 3-4 months down the line, he comes back. It's a case of, obviously, if it is longer than that, 8 months is going to be pushing it close to sort of like WrestleMania next year, and you kind of sit there and have to worry about, okay, well, what they're going to do with that briefcase then. But I think that's something to worry about at a later date. I don't think there's any rush to worry about it. We've just had the women's one cash in, so I don't think there's no real worry about cashing that thing in at the minute. But I'm sure that there'll be. It wouldn't surprise me that they end up doing something like a ladder match for the vacant Money in the Bank briefcase that has a time frame as long as Seth's one had left on it. Do you know what I mean?
Could it not be a case of perhaps maybe one of the Bronze cashing on Seth's behalf?
I think purely if you've got someone like Adam Pearce will be like, no, that's not how that works. Seth won that. Seth should cash it in. You don't just simply get to pass it off. The only time it's ever been passed off before is when someone has put that briefcase on the line. Now, because he isn't there to put it on the line, it's technically no one's. So really, it should be a case of, well, we're going to have another ladder match for it, or whatever, or do something for it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's too easy to just go, look, unless you want to use the Money in the Bank briefcase as the driving wedge between Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker breaking up. I still think it's too early to do that. We all know they're going to do it at some point, but you never know. Creative could do something completely different. But I'd like to think that they'd redo a ladder match or something for it.
Potentially, we'll have to see what will go down further down the line. My last question for you is, with Seth being out, the Oracle obviously will still have the direction for Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. Is there a potential that one of those two or both of them are going to be pushed further into the spotlight quicker because they were doing Seth's dirty work? Is there now a question that perhaps maybe we'll get the big matches instead of Seth Rollins? Say, for example, at a SummerSlam, could you see Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed having those shining moments earlier?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Bron wins the Gauntlet match tonight. Again, it's more narrative wise. Like, I think that with Seth being out, they now have to be really careful with how they book those two. Bron was already kind of on the very steep rise to the top anyway. Like, and Bron almost just at the minute feels like the guy that's just part of this faction. Well, I'm kind of waiting for Bron to kind of step up and do something in this group, but I'm sure they'll work it all out. But yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Bron wins tonight and he goes on to face Gunther at WrestleMania. I imagine, like, I mean, something stupid like the original plan was Bron was going to win the Gauntlet match. If he didn't win, Seth was going to cash in anyway. Do you know what I mean? And Seth could ultimately take that world title off of Gunther. But I don't know. I was hoping there'd be more to the whole John Cena Seth Rollins thing before. Do you know what I mean? Before the end of the year.
Let's go into it then, because we'll talk about the Goldberg match in a moment. But what's next for Gunther after he beat Goldberg in Goldberg's final match? Like you say, it's a Gauntlet match tonight on Monday Night Raw. We've got LA Knight, we've got Jey Uso, CM Punk, Bron Breakker, and Penta. Who is the winner for you? You suggested an idea of Bron Breakker being potentially the guy there, but who do you actually think will win it?
I think LA Knight gets that shot. I think LA Knight beating Seth. I think this is LA Knight's moment. I think with Seth out, this is a perfect time to throw LA Knight into that world title scene and take that spot. Because ultimately, it's going to be a face. So it's probably going to be either Penta, Punk, or LA Knight. Penta, I don't think has been there long enough for a match at SummerSlam for a world title. You could put Punk in that position. But again, I think that the numbers game, Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, ultimately will stop Punk from winning that world title. I think his world title story is Mania next year to deal with. So for me, I think LA Knight's the favorite to win it, and I wouldn't be against seeing it. Yeah, I hope it is, man. It's just a case of whether they do it or not. That's the only problem.
I want LA Knight. I expect it to be either Jey Uso or CM Punk. My feeling.
I forgot about Jey. Yeah.
I mean, Jey,
I feel
like Jey dropped that title just so they could do the Goldberg match. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jey won it back at SummerSlam. However,
that kind of makes sense.
There is this thing that CD's mentioned that Punk and Gunther have had stare downs before Seth Rollins got injured. So WWE could have been planning it for weeks. And CD hopes it's a minor injury that Seth has got. But yeah, I think that Punk versus Gunther could be the direction they could be going.
Yeah, the only thing, the thing was, I presume they could have done was they would have had Punk face Gunther. Punk would have won. Seth would have cashed in, taken that title off of Punk, and then Punk's run till Mania would have been trying to get that title back off of Rollins. And that's what would have been night 2 main event, like either Punk win the Rumble or whatever. When I play a Punk win the Rumble or something like that would have led to the main event next year. But I don't know. They'll find a way around it. I'm sure they will. And I just really hope we get Punk versus Rollins at WrestleMania. That's my main goal. Is I want to see that as a main event now, because we've done a video on it, on the amount of times and matches that WWE hasn't pulled the trigger on, and this will just be another one added to that list.
Absolutely. Let's move on. In the meantime, let's talk about the Goldberg's final match and the retirement match against Gunther. Your thoughts of the match? Obviously, Gunther picked up the victory with a sleeper hold in the end, with Goldberg passing out. I don't think, obviously, it's a 5-star classic we're talking about, but I don't think it was one of Goldberg's worst efforts for a 58-year-old.
No, I think it was perfectly played out for Goldberg. Really, the fact that they did the submission or the unconscious angle, I think, was a better way than just having him lose via pinfall. I think it still keeps the character Goldberg strong if he's ultimately forced to give up because he's no longer conscious. So I think that was a very clever way to do it. Yeah, like I said, look, at least this way, we know Goldberg ain't coming back for no more matches. Don't get me wrong, Saudi Arabia exists, and he might, for some reason, come out of retirement for one of them again. But as far as we know, no major storylines involving Goldberg going forward from this point forward.
Not for Bill, anyway.
Not for Bill, anyway. Maybe his son, yeah. If the NFL don't work out.
It's there because they had the stare down again with Gunther and Gage. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens at some point down the line. But yeah, like you say, if the NFL works out, then maybe it's something that's the backup plan isn't quite needed. So we'll see what goes on with that. But obviously Goldberg got his speech at the end, but yeah, NBC cut it off. So we didn't get to see the whole thing, but I think timing was an issue there.
Yeah, I think because of the Seth injury that they took too long at the end of the Seth match with the trainers and the positions and stuff, which is why it cut into Goldberg's goodbye promo.
Yeah, shame that is if that's the case. Ray asked, are we a fan of Jelly Roll music? Personally, love the song Liar. Don't mind some of those that I've heard.
I do have one of his songs, the one where he says he only needs to talk to God when he needs a favor. And I can't remember the name, but I'm useless with names. But yes, I do have some of his stuff on my Spotify.
Yeah, he's good. We like Jelly Roll. Sid says Jelly Roll and Randy Orton for tag team champions. I wouldn't go that far just yet. Give them a couple of matches at least. But hey, Bleach wants to see Moxley, Reigns, and Rollins retire as the Shield. Obviously, says that Romans is as it's tough at times. Same with Seth's body, and Moxley has already done his thing. We'd like to see them retire as a group. I don't think
Mox comes back. I honestly don't think he ever comes back. I think he prefers. Yeah, I know what you mean, because you want that WrestleMania triple threat match instead of the one that we did get, and I just think Mox loves AEW wrestling too much. I think once he retires from wrestling, he's retired. He ain't coming back.
Agreed. I hope you're wrong. Saturday night's main event. Yeah, I mean, overall, it's sizable. It's not a PLE, so we're not going to go through all the rating stuff at the end of it. But it was fine for what it was. It was sizable. 90 minutes of TV if you take the adverts out.
Yeah, it's a house show. I very seldomly watch them. I only watched it really because it was Goldberg's retirement match.
Absolutely. CD says that Seth Rollins gets to keep Money in the Bank because his whole year to cash in isn't like a championship where you defend it. Absolutely true. The only way you probably have to relinquish that is if he's out for a year. Like we say, what we hear from a dirt sheet depends on the credibility of the dirt sheet to start us with. We don't know how long he's going to be out for, so we'll have to wait and see at this point. Raw will give us a good indication tonight because the dirt sheet can say
in an hour or so for Raw.
Yeah, exactly. And if they then say he needs to vacate it, we'll know it's worse than feared. But if nothing's said, then maybe they're analysing it, and maybe CD it's good news. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on. But we will finish up with the Great American Bash. Now, this will be kind of a bit more of a trimmed review of the show. In fact, it's going to be.
Do you want me to just power through my overall opinions of the 5 matches or however many there was? Let's just get this out of the way. Javon Evans, Jasper Troy. I thought Jasper Troy had a great showing. I think Javon Evans, for the first time in a long time, sucked. I think he failed to sell a lot of the stuff that Jasper was doing to him. He come out with the body tape. Wasn't overly fan of his selling. I thought that for how much damage he was inflicting and causing on him, he wasn't selling enough for me. And I also think it was the wrong decision. I think Jasper Troy should have won that. Why Javon Evans needs to win it, I don't know. Unless he's the next person to go on and face Obafemi. Izzy Dane versus Sol Ruka. I thought this match was great. First time I've ever really watched Izzy Dane as a solo wrestler, and I thought she put on a fantastic performance. Again, I was expecting Izzy Dame to win this, but not disappointed by Sol Ruka winning. Again, just the fact that they're building Izzy Dame alone and sort of almost separating her from the Cullen, I think is great in itself, and the way that they're building her up is good. And Tatum Paxley, again, we said on the predictions, I think that Izzy Dame's just going to use and abuse Tatum Paxley to get what she wants, which ultimately will be like a North American Championship. Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, what a great. I said on the predictions that I was disappointed with their stand and deliver match. This far exceeded the stand and deliver match. Thought this was great. The foreshadowing that, again, we said in predictions that whoever was going to have a run with Jasper Troy in the North American Championship, there's that interaction backstage where he attacks Ricky Saints, which was why I thought Saints was going to win as well. I was kind of like, oh, there's some foreshadowing there, but Page retains. I think in general, though, just genuinely great, made great use of the arena, the crowd, the backstage area, the props, thought it was wonderful. The contract signing, exactly how we played it. I thought we said it was going to play out. It's going to sit there with TNA superstar standing tall, trick through a table. Dark State was the only thing I hadn't really accounted for, but I am definitely more certain than ever that Trick Williams is the leader of Dark State. I've said it many times before, and I still believe it now. Inamura versus Obafemi. Inamura, I think, was fantastic. I actually really loved this match. This was on par. My dog's barking, being a pain in the ass. I think Inamura had a fantastic display. Two big guys just slapping me. I thought this was so entertaining. For Inamura's, I think, third singles match on NXT TV, thought this was a great display. The Briggs, whole trying to use the title. I thought the character dynamic is really good. I can't wait to see where those guys go. Even the interaction afterwards where you had Inamura and Femi backstage, where Femi said he's going to give him a rematch and Briggs gets involved. Again, really love the story coming out of this one. Cannot wait to see where that goes as well. And the main event, I thought was okay. Yeah. For the first time Monroe and Grace ever tagged together, they're trying to do tag team moves like they've been tagging for 10 years, and it just didn't come off, in my opinion. But otherwise, thought it was a great display. Monroe obviously gets a win in her debut. Thought it was a great showing overall. Generally, across the board, it was it was a good show. I had no problems with it. I just, like I said, the Javon Evans no selling the Jasper Troy, and this Jasper Troy is meant to be this big new powerhouse. And he's like, oh, you hit me in my midsection. Yeah, 2 minutes later, he's doing springboards with no repercussions for it. And I'm like, yeah, need to work on that. But that was my only real qualm with the show. Otherwise, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I thought it was a good show from start to finish. I quite enjoyed it. Yeah. I was a bit disappointed with Jasper Troy losing because I thought, look, we said before he needed the win. But all in all, I didn't mind the opener, although I understand where you're coming from with some of the selling points of view. But I still enjoyed the match for what it was. I thought the Izzy Dame match, like you say, really helped the character development for what she's looking to do moving forward. I think Soul was the right winner though on this particular weekend, and obviously getting the Soul Snatcher as well. Just it's so beautiful to watch each and every time she hits it. Obviously, yeah, Falls Count Anywhere for me is where I'm at. That was my match of the night. I really enjoyed it. It felt so old school because if you were a fan in the Attitude Era, I know I'm that guy's paid. Get his violin out with the Attitude Era again.
You went to a TV show specifically for them to do this stuff and to go out the back and be part of that crowd.
When's the last time you saw a WWE match go into the lobby? Honestly, it's been so long where merch stands have been involved and
maybe a Jey Uso one a couple of years ago.
Maybe, but it feels like a long time ago. And for me, I just was like, oh, this feels so old school. And they're two kind of old school style wrestlers as well, Saints and Page. They don't do flips and dives and stuff. They're kind of like actual, they're grounded wrestlers and stuff. So I kind of enjoyed it. And obviously then, like you said, the Jasper Troy part, but the finish as well with the Ego's Edge off of the stage to go through the two tables, just the execution was just beautiful. And Saints goes through those tables perfectly as well.
The use of the guardrail as well, I thought was great. Something I haven't seen in 25 years is them use a guardrail as a weapon. Just the fact that I think Saints drops it on Page and then it's used as almost like a table, and the way it's bent out shape, it was great.
For me, it's a 4-star match. I thoroughly enjoyed that match. It was really
agreed.
Really good.
Exactly the same I gave that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's interesting with Briggs and Inamura, what's going to go on moving forward. Clearly, a feud with those two will happen, but I like the way they played out the honor and non-honor from those two, which of course Femi does come away with a victory in the end. And like you said, the women's tag team match was fine for what it was. For me, it felt TV quality. It didn't feel quite PLE quality, but I mean, this is Great American Bash, and this is a show like all of them this weekend, kind of thrown together of the idea to try and counter AEW. So not everything is going to feel like it's the pay-per-view quality, but still, I thought the ladies did a good job. Well deserved to be on a PLE main event. And yeah, fingers crossed it continues to go into a good way into Heatwave because NXT showed up and they showed out.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I enjoyed it across the watch, but I said the thing I was most worried about was the improvement of the stand and deliver match between Ricky Saints and Ethan Page, and those guys knocked it out of the park. It was so much better than the stand and deliver one. It was better than the one they did on TV. Yeah, just so entertaining and just so much fun to watch. And again, I wanted Saints to win just because I want Page up on the main roster. I wouldn't be against seeing Saints go up to the main roster now, but again, I think with the way that all played out and the interacting with Jasper Troy backstage, I think Saints' next few months is going to be at least dealing with Jasper Troy. Ultimately, will probably lead to a match at Heatwave or something, or the blow off at being a Heatwave.
You would have thought so, probably judging how things were off of this show as well. But let's go for those little topics we like to just to close things off. We'll do our last couple of comments and we'll wrap things up today. OMG moment of the night then for NXT Great American Bash.
The back body drop that Ethan Page does, where he drops Saints on the spine of the chair, like drops Ricky Saints' spine onto the back of the chairs, and it's always a rough bump to take, and I cringe inwardly every time I see it happen.
Yeah, it was a cringe spot indeed there. My OMG moment is that Ego's edge off the stage for those two tables. OMG, and it was beautiful as well. Match of the night was the Falls Count Anywhere.
Falls Count Anywhere, obviously, all day long.
Absolutely. Entrance of the night?
Blake Monroe. I feel like she got a proper entrance with wrestling attire on. Got the whole thing, really. There wasn't anyone else that really kind of stood out, so that's why I gave it to Blake Monroe.
Exact same reasoning as well. MVP of the night?
Yoshiki Inamura, honestly, blew me away. He was much better than I thought he was going to be, and I think he put on a killer match with Obafemi. Yeah, I don't know whether it's a case of Obafemi putting on a good match with him, but like I said, those two guys, they pulled off a fantastic match, delivered a great story. I really liked it, so yeah, I gave it to Inamura.
Kind of have to agree with that to a certain point because, I mean, we always talk about that TNA partnership, and no one really considers the Noah partnership. And the fact that Nomura has shown that it's not just the Joe Hendrys and the Jordan Graces that WWE going to be interested in. Maybe Nomura could be a long-term play as well. So certainly deserving of it. I don't want to give every accolade to Ethan Page and Ricky Saints, though I feel that I probably will on this one. But final rating anyway for NXT Great American Bash 2025.
7 out of 10. Like I said, it's a good show to watch from start to finish. 2 really good matches. 3 okay matches. It's not a bad show at all.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 all day long for me on that one as well. Let's go for our last couple of comments then, and then we'll wrap things up. CD's giving us the honors with these ones. Says, having NXT go up against AEW events is dumb. NXT is good, but it's just a developmental brand. I see the point and argue with that, especially when AEW has the stadium shows, but then NXT has Netflix.
Yeah, but the other thing as well is the AEW show was so long it went across 2 WWE shows. So I'll argue that point backwards that although WWE put NXT against it, they put Saturday Night's Main Events against it as well. So look, it's business more than anything. And again, now the fact that you can watch AEW on Prime, I suppose, is a big plus. But again, you have to pay for it like a normal pay-per-view kind of thing. But yeah, NXT unfortunately is going to get the numbers just because most people have a Netflix subscription. But again, a 6-hour pay-per-view. Dude, it was still going on when Saturday Night's Main Event started. I was like, how is that show that long? That's ridiculous. Like, I used to do it once a year for WrestleMania, but now it just feels like it's every pay-per-view with AEW. It's too long, man.
Yeah, well, apparently it's the longest pay-per-view in record. And politely, there's a reason why we're able to review 3 shows in that time, because all of these 3 shows, I think it's 1 hour extra, and then that's the AEW show in total. So if you want to watch 3 shorter shows or 1 long show, it depends on people's flavors and prerogative. And if your preference is the 6-hour AEW show, power to you. I've got nothing but
I
respect. I love pro wrestling. I support all the companies, but
yeah.
for me, I'm a time consuming guy. I much prefer less is more. So that's me.
But like you said there, we've managed to review all in all, not the great, not best we normally do with our reviews, but we've done 3 shows in so far an hour and 19 minutes. I don't think we've ever actually reviewed an AEW pay-per-view, but we sort of the time limit we normally set ourselves, I feel we'd be hitting like 2.5 hours if we was to do an AEW pay-per-view. There's just so much. And I'm like, my brain can only work for so long before I just start going like, listen, and start rocking backwards and forwards and being like, I need a break. It's just too long, man.
It's too long. It's too long. The thing is that I think the reason why, and this is something for those that wonder, I think some people wonder this as well. Like, why don't we do AEW reviews? There's a reason for it. It's because usually the shows are so long, they are harder to watch all of it in a good space of time to then get on here when it's still relevant and review it. You know, if say it's going to take me till Wednesday to find 6 hours to watch it, by the time I get here, there's Dynamite on Wednesday, so maybe there'll be a few people might say, but the interest has cooled off. Everyone's already talking about what happened then on WWE, on Raw, on NXT. It's well moved on. So by the time we get there, it's too late.
Like I think we discussed before that we want to do the first ever All In again because just because like I think it'd be nice to go back and watch it and see how much the product's changed since then. But again, even then, I'm sure that's like a 4-hour show, and that wouldn't be too bad, to be fair. But I think we also talked about reviewing All In, the first All In London, and that was God. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, God, I dread watching it back because I know it's so long.
Yeah, it's like 5 hours long. Obviously, wouldn't do the 2 hour.
We sat there and went through it.
It was, but the thing is, though, when you're sitting, this is the thing. I was like, when you're sitting there live, it goes so quick. You don't feel that when you're in the stadium. But when you're in the comfort of your own home, all of a sudden your home life is around the event. You've actually gone out to that event specifically for that entertainment. If you all of a sudden have your family life or whatever life you have going on around you and there's a 6-hour show on, you ain't got 6 hours to sit there and watch that show. Not in my life anyway. And if for the ones that do, like I say, power to you, amazing. Really happy for you.
The problem I have with my age now is I find myself drifting off.
Yeah.
If I've been watching something for too long, like don't get me wrong, if I'm having to do like when we do these reviews, I'm having to make notes. Sure, if I'm watching a 6-hour show at home, like dude, I watched the Gran Turismo film last night, 2 nights ago, whenever it was, horrible film, and it's 2 hours of my life I'll probably never get back. But I was so just bored by it. I was just like, it's horrible. Don't do it. Don't watch it. But yeah, that's what I mean. And to sit and watch a 6-hour wrestling show, it's just too long, man. I don't say. Look, you see, if you have to go there and you get to meet up with people and you get to make an event out of it. It's like going to watch a concert or a gig. Sure, it's great. 6 hours sitting on the sofa watching wrestling is stupidly long. I say that, and I've watched Great American Bash and Thingy this weekend, but there was a break in between them both. There was a 24-hour break.
Yeah, that's your change around of it. Do you know what I mean? So, look, I'll be honest. I've seen a couple of matches, but it's going to take a couple of days to see all of it. So, I appreciate the ones that have been watching and have not thrown spoilers in. So that's always very appreciative of you all because I don't know everything that's happened on the show. CD says, imagine Braun Breaker becomes the leader of Seth Rollins' faction and battles Seth Rollins and becomes world heavyweight champion. He trash talks Seth and Seth Rollins returns and cashes in on Braun Breaker. Not against it. I'm not against it.
Force CM Punk and Seth Rollins to be best friends.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun. And WWE would have no choice but to turn Seth face, like when it comes people just like Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. And I think Liv Morgan will have the same fate. People will want to see her as face when she returns as well.
Yeah.
NXT, I think we've covered all the bases. Have you got anything you'd like to add before we wrap up the show?
No, man. Like I said, a lot of wrestling to watch this weekend. This Slammiversary next weekend, which I'm kind of going to have to be forced to watch now. And then obviously SummerSlam is like a few weeks away. And then there's Heat Wave and Clash in Paris. And I'm like, there's not enough time to like do other stuff. I just find myself watching a lot of wrestling recently.
is becoming a full-time job. If
Yeah.
WWE can pay their fans to do so. But do you know what? Be very helpful is people watching. Just hit the like button. That's all you got to do. Hit that like button because believe it or not, it A helps the channel a lot more than you realize, but B, it makes the creators feel like good as well about themselves. And if it can help the video on YouTube and you feel quite good about yourself, then the content the next time you do gets better. Yes, maybe the heads get bigger as well, but these are wide screens. There's room for the heads to grow. But serious note though, like it's nice for us to see if people are enjoying the content, but also like you say, it's very helpful to the video and to the channel as well. And obviously, there's a lot of wrestling coming up, so aiming to cover everything as best as we can. There will be predictions for Slammiversary this week on the channel. There will hopefully be a SummerSlam match card predicted video dropping this week as well. And I'll have a word with NXT. Maybe me and you can have something in the pipeline later in the week as well. But there is a lot of SummerSlam themed videos that we have got under wraps. So keep an eye out for those ones when they do drop. But thank you all for watching. Look after yourselves and each other. Most importantly, to all of you, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your comments. You are the backbone of this channel. So thank you so much. We appreciate all your involvement and we appreciate all the support. Look after yourselves and each other, and we'll see you for the next video. If you want to see anything more in the meantime, check out the shorts that have been dropped over the weekend, and there's some good classic retro content for you as well.